I'm Charity Nebbe, and this is Greetings from Iowa. Iowa artist and writer Akwi Inji wrote, "Through stories, strangers become friends, and outsiders become insiders." That's exactly what Greetings from Iowa is all about. We want to get reacquainted with our neighbors by telling stories of the people, communities, and cultures of our state. Coming up on this episode, we'll meet musician and artist Kelly Montijo Fink. We'll join DJ Dale Eichor, who's been working in country music radio since the 1960s.
Check the weather. I'll be back with more music.
And the Gramoutis family will share their family story while making a traditional Greek meal.
You guys are going to go in the bathroom?
All that and more coming up next on Greetings from Iowa.
Funding for Greetings from Iowa is provided by...
With our Iowa roots and Midwestern values, Farmers Mutual Hail is committed to offering innovative farm insurance for America's farmers, just as we have for 6 generations. Farmers Mutual Hail, America's crop insurance company.
The Pella Roll Screen Foundation is a proud supporter of Iowa PBS. Pella Windows and Doors strives to better our communities and build a better tomorrow.
In 1991, Brooklyn put up an avenue of flags to welcome ragbri riders into town. That gave a local resident an idea. 30 years later, the community is now called the Community of Flags.
Greetings from Brooklyn, Iowa.
Brooklyn is known as the Community of Flags. People come from all over to go to the Classic Deli. The Brooklyn Service Center is 1920s. John Wayne's father was a pharmacist, and he lived here for a couple years. We know he went to kindergarten here, and he lived up the block on East Des Moines Street, and we've got a marker there to commemorate that. One of the first routes across Iowa goes right through Brooklyn. It was called the River to River Road. It went from Council Bluffs to Davenport, Stagecoach Road. Eventually Highway 6 followed it. The railroad followed it. Interstate 80 followed it. So it must have been a pretty good way to get across Iowa because it's still prevalent today.
This is the Brooklyn Opera House, originally built in 1911. In the 1920s was the introduction of silent movies, and so all the windows on the outside kind of got covered over so that movies could begin in here. It was ran off and on throughout the years up until the late 90s. In 1998, the floor collapsed in the building right before one of the shows, its last show here. And so at that time, it just kind of got boarded up and nobody touched it again until we came in here in 2014. We started working with contractors, engineers, architects. So we really actively in 2018 started construction on the building. It took us about 14 months to complete the building.
I came here when I was young, you know, sat in the balcony when I could with a girl if I could, you know. They didn't always open the balcony, but most of us wanted to sit in the balcony. Brooklyn, Iowa. There's just a lot going on for a small town.
My name is Kelly Montijo Fink, and I am a singer-songwriter. I'm an educator, wife, mother, kind of a little bit of everything. My mother's family is from New Mexico, and that's where we trace our lineage, our Apache lineage from.
Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget.
I think I've always had a song in my heart, if that makes sense. I always remember singing, sitting in the backseat of the car when my parents were driving, and just singing whatever was on the radio, whatever was in my mind. And I remember spending summers out in Colorado, actually, with my grandmother, and she had a very old piano, and I would love spending hours just trying to plunk out songs and making things up. I didn't know what I was doing, but what sounded right to me. So I just have all these early memories of music in my life, and then trying to create my own, and that was from an early age too. And I don't think I got really serious about writing songs until maybe my late 30s, so kind of a late bloomer. But better late than never, right?
I was thinking about this the other day when somebody asked me to describe my music. I think I should start responding this way. It's like the weather in Iowa. You know what comes next, right? If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. Tonight you're gonna hear multiple genres, because to me every song has a personality and expresses itself in a different way.
I think it's just really important, generally speaking, for us to hear each other's stories, because then we can connect better. I have a friend who's an Inuit elder. He used to travel a lot more now too, but every time he'd go to speak somewhere, they're like, and we have a special speaker tonight, and this is who he is. He says, once I was introduced as a special listener. I said, that's really powerful. And it made such an impact in him, because you have to listen to be able to speak well, to interpret what you hear. And so I think just being willing to listen, if I would encourage people, listen to people whose stories are different than your own. And I think part of the problem is we think, it's not my story, it's not my experience, so that couldn't have happened. That couldn't be real. But you'd be surprised. I think with the general population here in Iowa, many people don't have that experience or have never heard native drum music, unless they're going out maybe to the Meskwaki powwow that they have twice a year out in the settlement. I think the general population just is unaware, and so we've been here for such a long time, and to be allowed to come in and asked even to share stories and share songs that are maybe out of the ordinary for a typical Iowan, I think it's a great honor, and it's a great responsibility to share, because it's part of you, it's part of your person, and anytime you do that, you're being vulnerable, right? Whether you'll be received, whether you won't be received, but it's nonetheless your story. The general population just thinks Native Indian, that we're all the same, we have the same traditions, we have the same languages, and none of that's true. And I know many cultures say I'm not a monolith. It's very true with Native folks. Native is just such a broad term. I mean, most Native people would identify themselves by saying their tribal name. You know, I'm Apache, I'm Chiricahua Apache, and they would self-identify that way. And even then, so many names that are known for the tribes are really misnomers or names given to them by somebody else. So, for example, Apache is not even actually from the language that our people speak. It's from the Zuni tribe that maybe somebody came along, maybe the Spanish came along and say, hey, who are those people? Are those your people too? No, they're Apache. They're enemies. So many names are derogatory or derivative of another language. Sioux came from another tribe calling them little snakes. And so it's Lakota. And if you look at the original language and the names the people had for themselves, it was simply the people or the human beings, or like the Meskwaki, the people of the red earth. There's a human, very human aspect to what we call ourselves, not what other people call us.
God made me free and he made me me, so I won't believe in the lies. No, I won't believe in the lies.
I think we're still here. I mean, if nothing else, we're still here. We may be invisible to you, but we're really still here, and we don't all look alike. We don't all sound alike. And the other thing I think is a lot of times when we see this public replication of Native people, it's, we know what you look like, we know what you sound like, this is it. So just agree with that and be fine with it.
'Cause it's rising up, roar, tell yourself what you're fighting for. Check the humidity at the door, come on now, we're rising up.
Since I think 2013 now, I've been serving on the Iowa Commission for Native American Affairs. I know early on for the commission, I felt a little bit like a duck out of water because we have social activists, we have lawyers, we have people with these different experiences. And I thought, where do I fit here? Because I'm a creative, I'm an educator, I'm a songwriter. And I thought, well, I guess that's what's missing, right? And so there wasn't a committee within the commission for education in the arts. So I said, can we add this to what we do? And so I thought this is a good way to kind of bridge that gap with the community. We serve our Native communities within the state of Iowa, but we also serve the general public to try to educate. Get to know people that are different than you and find those commonalities, find those connections. I know I've come in with some preconceived ideas to talking about culture-to-culture interactions. Most of my students are Congolese or Sudanese. The thought in my head was, because of everything I'd heard on the news and media, was, are the men that are Muslim going to receive me as a teacher because I'm female? And I was surprised. They're probably the most respectful students I've ever had. That's a powerful interaction. That's a powerful community builder, is when you take the time. Of course, it's my job to take the time to do that, but I think in general, there's more of a richness that happens when you integrate and you understand other people's lives and other stories. Now, you don't have to necessarily be best buddies, but you at least get a better revelation of what their lives have been.
Dale Eichor has chalked up decades of broadcasting in country radio. He's been a mainstay in Iowa, which eventually led to his induction into the Country Music DJ Hall of Fame in 2001.
Going to Jackson, Johnny Cash, and June Carter Cash. True Country, 540 KWMT. I'm Dale Eichor. I started in radio broadcasting in 1960.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
From when I was a child, I just always was fascinated by radio. My mother she always had the radio on. She was a fan of music. She liked music, and so did my dad, for that matter. That's probably where I got my interest, right there. We moved back to Iowa in 1972. Came here to KWMT and have been here since. All the news coming up at 5 o'clock. Fox News will have KWMT news for you. Check the weather. I'll be back with more music on the Driving Home Show. Here's Buck Owens Band, Buckaroo. Well, I like a lot of different kinds of music, really. People think I'm only like country, but I like, the old joke was I like both kinds of music, country and Western, but I like a lot of different kinds of music, and I played different kinds of music in my early radio jobs, Denison and Shenandoah, and so later on it became exclusively country. They say your favorite music is the music you grew up with, and I think that's probably so. So that's what we play here at KWMT, classic country. Your true country station, KWMT. Let's go back for one from Kenny Rogers. One of Kenny's big hits. Here's Lucille. I like to do more than just say, here's George Jones, and there was George Jones. I like to talk about the artist some. I like to talk about the history of the music. I use my Billboard chart book. I like to go back and see what the big hits were years ago on this particular date, and maybe dig one out and play it and say, well, here's the #1 song from 1975, this time of the year. And I like to do, I call it my Nashville notes. I like to give country news about the artists and birthdays and things like that. I want to add my condolences and extend my sympathy to Ronnie Millsap, Ronnie's family and friends and his fans. Ronnie's mourning the passing of his wife, Joyce. Many of Ronnie's songs were inspired by his wife, so extending our sympathy to Ronnie Millsap and family on the passing of his wife, Joyce Millsap, this past week. I'm still startled when somebody, I'll be in a checkout line or something, and somebody will recognize me, either by they hear my voice or maybe they've seen me somewhere. But I'm really taken aback by that when that happens.
True Country 540 KWMT is proud to be the home of Country Music DJ Hall of Fame member Dale Eichor.
The biggest all a country boy could aspire to is the Country DJ Hall of Fame Award. I was inducted in the year 2001. It's in Nashville. It's the epitome of being a country DJ. I mean, that's what you would like to, where you would like to end up. Well, way back when, 1974, CMA has, the Country Music Association, CMA has the Country DJ of the Year Award in 3 categories: small markets, medium markets, and big markets. And I won the small market award in 1974. I never thought I would make a living out of it. And for all these years, 60 years, yeah, I never really thought of that happening. I just thought it would be something I'd try for and see what happened. Well, this guy's having a birthday today. Freddie Weller. Remember Freddie Weller? We've been country station for 50 years. And we'll let the FMs have the hot new country, and we'll play the oldies but goodies. Play it like it was. Freddie was born on this date, September 9th, in 1947 in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's Freddie Weller.
In 2017, immigrants made up 13.5% of the U.S. population, but it's estimated that 37% of small restaurant owners are foreign-born. Tony Groumoutis was born in Greece. He immigrated to Iowa in the early 1970s, where he would eventually open up a beloved family restaurant. And now I'm here with Tony and Alexi. Thank you both so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And I want to go way back in time to the early 1970s. You came to the United States through Canada.
Yes.
From Greece.
Yes.
How did you wind up in Creston, Iowa?
My brother opened a restaurant in Centerville, Iowa. He was here before me.
So when you bought the restaurant in Creston, did you have a vision for what it would be?
We did exactly what the restaurant was in Centerville. It was a pizza and steakhouse, pasta, few fish, and sandwiches, a little bit of everything for the family. And it was very popular because of that.
It became a family business, but even as a little girl, you were there taking your naps under the counter?
Yeah. When I was done with the day and I'd go to the restaurant, and underneath where the pizza trays were stored, my mom would make me a little nest where I could take my nap. And I was always excited to help out. It was fun, you know, when you're young, you're excited to be a part of the restaurant. So I would do little things like, you know, pour coffee for people or put on matching pants like my dad was wearing. He had tan pants. And I would wear the same pants. And I worked there my entire life until we sold it after 43 years.
So what are we gonna make?
Today we're gonna make a Greek chicken with and potatoes.
Nice.
And I have some chicken here already cut up. And then I'll show you how we cut it.
All right. And of course, this is a little Cornish game hen, which will work perfectly.
Yes, it's perfect.
You could use a
small.
bigger chicken too.
Yeah, you can do any size. Go in the middle like that. Put it around. So we cut it in 4 pieces.
Nice.
Breast, thigh. Doing the same here. If it was a bigger chicken, I cut it in more pieces, you know, I got the leg and everything. But this is just perfect, you know?
Yeah.
So we put it here. And we're gonna start marinate it. Okay, put enough salt. This is black pepper. I think that's enough there. And we have oregano. We don't put too much of this, it's kind of strong.
And your oregano came from Greece, right?
Yes. And then we get a lemon here. Olive oil here.
That's why his food is so good. A lot of olive oil.
Nice.
No, it's you put enough, you know, for flavor, and you don't put too much of this and that. And then we got the potatoes here.
All right, and we've already peeled and cut those
Yeah,
up.
you know, I might either put them here because they're gonna go in the bottom. So we put the spices again. We do the same with the potatoes.
All right.
So the black pepper, oregano, some more olive oil.
It's a sensory journey. We have the oregano that hits you hard and then the lemon.
Yeah, and
Love
then
it.
now we put the chicken on the top. Put the rest of it.
And we're going to bake it for about an hour, right?
I go 45 minutes and see how it is, and then might go another 30 minutes.
So once you opened the restaurant, how did things go? You had to really throw yourself into making that work.
We just opened and people start coming in, and that was it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, every restaurant is going to be busy, and it's up to you if they come back or not, you know. And we have good personality.
Why do you think they came back?
To see me.
Tony, this chicken looks beautiful. It smells amazing. Any tips on how to know when it's done?
Yes, you tell by the color, and then we put a thermometer in, 165. But by experience, you know, we don't need a thermometer.
Right,
you know?
you've known this, you've done this a few times.
Look how beautiful it is.
It's
nice and
gorgeous.
crispy, yeah.
All right, and it's going to be even more beautiful, Alexi, when you make us a Greek salad to go with it, right?
This is a Greek village salad. So it's really simple. We'll start with the dressing. We've got some olive oil here. And next we have red wine vinegar. You could also use lemon juice or half and half. Lemon juice and red wine vinegar. And we've got some salt. Oregano from Greece. I'm going to save some of it. I'm going to save some of it back for the topping.
Tony, I can see that it's hard for you not to get involved.
She can't resist. So you just give it a good whisk, and then we will add our ingredients. It's very simple here.
Wonderful.
We've got our tomatoes.
This was really a tomato-based
Yes,
salad.
it is. And you could even turn it into a panzanella salad if you wanted to add some bread to it. Some crusty bread.
Oh, nice.
So we've got the tomatoes, the cucumbers, and then the sliced red onions. And of course, Kalamata olives.
It wouldn't be a Greek salad without Kalamata olives?
Exactly. And then give it a nice mix. And then we're going to put the feta cheese on top.
Nice. So bright and pretty.
And it's so fresh. It's a perfect summer salad or spring salad.
And oregano on the end.
Yes, and then we finished it with oregano, and then that's it.
Lovely. Well, why don't we put some chicken and potatoes and some salad on that plate?
Yeah,
Plate it all
we'll
up
do
for
that.
us. So, what do you think your restaurant, when you were running it, meant to Creston, meant to the community?
It means a lot, you know. It's a new place, and like if you last that many years, you know, that means you did something right, you know.
Wow.
And that's the way I look at it. And
I think a lot of people felt like it was their second home. People from out of town or people who already lived in Creston, they were always excited to come to the A&G. And they always felt like family. We always welcomed them. My dad was really good about, you know, giving out drinks and just celebrating and sitting and talking to people. And a lot of people, you know, celebrated birthdays there, anniversaries there. So over the years, it's meant a lot to everybody. And, you know, we were happy to be a part of the community in that way.
Yeah. And what was the best thing on the menu?
Oh, what can I say? Steaks were good, pizza was good, and everything was good.
We were known for our pizzas.
All right, but I'm sure it was all fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheers.
That is wonderful. Tony and Alexi, thank you both so much for sharing your stories and for making this beautiful meal.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us as we explore the people, communities, and culture of our state. We'll see you next time for another Greetings from Iowa.
Funding for Greetings from Iowa is provided by...
With our Iowa roots and Midwestern values, Farmers Mutual Hail is committed to offering innovative farm insurance for America's farmers, just as we have for 6 generations. Farmers Mutual Hail, America's crop insurance company.
The Pella Roll Screen Foundation is a proud supporter of Iowa PBS. Pella Windows and Doors strives to better our communities and build a better tomorrow.